Hi guys, so I'm going to be introducing to you the first book that I have for free. The first series I will be highlighting is The Extraordinarily Ordinary Life of Cassandra Jones, Walker Wildcats Year 1, age 10. And this is from episode 1, The New Girl. And if you look closely at this book, you'll see that my little kitty cats have chewed up the binding. So I will be giving away this copy of the book to somebody who comments in the comments that they listened and they enjoyed and would like to win a free copy. So just post your comments and I will pick someone in about a week. This book is free across many different retailers, including Amazon and Nook and iTunes. So, and if you hear my children in the background, they are home from school. We are all just in this together, trying to get through the pandemic and being at home. So I'm going to read to you part of Chapter 1 from Cassandra Jones, Episode 1, The New Girl. Chapter 1, New School. The van door slid shut behind Cassandra Jones as her brother climbed out, and still she stood in front of the new school, staring up at it. Her heart thumped out a staccato rhythm at double time. Da-dum, da-dum, da-dum. She knew where her classroom was. Her mom had shown her when they visited the school a few days ago. No, that wasn't the problem. The problem was she didn't know anyone. Last year had been the best one ever at Northridge Elementary. She spent every spare moment with her best friend, Tammy. Her mind flashed on those images now, eating lunch together, running on the playground, trying to see who could go the highest on the swing set at Tammy's house. They'd left Texas right after the last day of school. As in, Cassandra walked out the school doors, talking with Tammy, and saw her mom's van waiting in the pickup line. The whole family was already inside, the vehicle packed to the rafters with everything the moving truck hadn't taken. And in that moment, the gravity of the situation hit Cassandra like a grand piano. She thrust her arms around Tammy and sobbed into her shoulder. Cassie! Cassie! Her mom's voice behind her made Cassandra's own back into reality. She blinked back moisture and turned to the open window and the van that hadn't moved. Cassandra, I'm holding up the line, her mom said, weary lines etched around her eyes. Still, she pursed her lips together, and Cassandra knew her mother wasn't unsympathetic to her plight. You've got to go inside, Cassie. You're going to be fine. Cassandra nodded and forced her feet to step forward. Her younger brother and sister were already gone, fearless in the face of the unknown. They just didn't know enough to be scared. Cassie did. She was a 5th grader now, and she knew how mean kids could be. She'd had a good group of friends in Texas, solid protection. She had nothing here. Being late wasn't the first impression she wanted to make either. She quickened her pace and ducked into the classroom, depositing her lunchbox next to the others lined up against the wall. She found the desk Miss Dawson had showed her last week and settled into it. Cassandra kept her eyes down while surveying her new classmates out of the corner of her eye. A boy with brown hair and glasses chatted with another boy, and a girl with short, reddish-blonde hair showed off her new folders to a larger brunette. A few glanced her way, but most paid her no mind. Cassie felt the breath slide out of her, and some of the tension worked its way out of her shoulders. This couldn't be that bad, then. Nobody laughed at her or pointed her out as the new girl. The 8 o'clock bell rang, and the teacher started the class. She called roll. Cassandra tried to pay attention to the names, but they passed by in a blur. She remembered to call out, "Here," when Miss Dawson read, "Cassandra Jones." "Sometimes I go by Cassie." The sentence was at the tip of her tongue, but she delayed too long and was too timid, and Miss Dawson had already moved on. Miss Dawson gave out orders to organize their school supplies before copying down the sentences on the board. Copying sentences. This was familiar and easy, if not boring. The class worked in silence, and Cassie didn't have to worry about whether anyone would speak to her. "All right, it's time for morning recess," the teacher said, and Cassie's traitorous heart started to gallop again. Would anyone play with her? Would she be left alone at the sidewalk? "Let's line up alphabetically." Miss Dawson read out their names, and each child stood in turn and lined up at the door. Matthew Higgins, Riley Isabel, Cassandra Jones. Cassandra stood, smoothing down the skirt of her first day of school dress. She never wore dresses except Sundays and the first day of school. In fact, until recently, she had considered herself a tomboy, happier up in a tree than with a doll. But she'd felt a secret thrill of pleasure when her mother removed the curlers this morning, and Cassandra caught a glimpse of her reflection, red pleated dress and full curls tumbling down her back. She looked pretty. The girl with the short strawberry blonde hair was in front of her. She cast a glance back at Cassie and faced the front again. Cassie wanted to say hi, but the thought of speaking out loud when no one had called on her made her throat go dry. Instead, she planned what she would say the next time the girl turned around. They marched down the hall in a semi-straight line, some kids dragging their feet or walking slightly out of sync with the rest. As soon as they burst through the back doors to the play yard, however, the line dissolved. Here's one of those kitties that chews up my books. Children filtered out like ants from a scattered anthill. It was a large play yard with a soccer field on one side, swings, tetherballs, monkey bars, and a metal dome climber in the middle, and trees on the other side. Wow, Cassie said, speaking in spite of herself. It's so big. There's more on the other side, Matthew said, still standing close to her. This is the upper grades playground. He looked at her and then turned away, his cheeks coloring. He dashed off the sidewalk and joined the other kids. Cassie smiled. She wasn't an outsider then. Someone had spoken to her.